Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Jim McKeith, lead developer evangelist of Embarcadero Technologies, and we've partnered with the ASP Association of Software Professionals to put together this new webinar, and hopefully the first of many, focusing more on the business side of software development, as we realize a lot of our customers that are not come to us not only for software development needs but also are running their own business. And so that's why we've brought Jessica Dewell in here today. She has no time to waste, and neither to you, so she gets down to business, talks about using your mission and goals, and she works with executive teams to align actions and develop skills for businesses that are sustainable and profitable. In today's program, Jessica will introduce you to a bold way of doing business. You will learn the importance of making critical decisions, analyze products to maximize monetization, and read the pulse of the product catalog. Please welcome Jessica Dewell.
Thanks so much, Jim. This has been a really fun day for me talking about licensing and monetization and all of the skills that we already have that when we reapply and refocus can be used for good in so many other areas that help us do what we want to do, get our products to more people and do it in a profitable way. And as we're getting started, I always like to take a look and say, how cool is it? How cool is it that we belong to and we are affiliated with and we are partnering with somebody like Embarcadero? And I'm talking about we collectively, everybody, because they do champion developers and they want to make a difference, and they actively do so through their community that they've proven over and over again over time. And so, Jim, take a minute and just remind us what Embarcadero stands for and why you do what you do.
So I've been a customer using Delphi for years, since, wow, I Turbo Pascal before that. And I've always been a huge fan of the community and the fact that it's focused, at least in my mind, it's always been focused on developers. And there was this time that Borland and Embarcadero have been involved in other things. But right now, Embarcadero is solely focused on developers. And now working for Embarcadero, it's a great time to be here because that is what is important to me, is helping developers be successful and do amazing things. We're actually doing this cool app contest right now, and it's so neat to see some of the amazing development, some of the amazing applications our customers are creating, whether they be end user applications or some of them are even in-house applications. And just to see what our developers do, that is what makes us excited and makes us happy to keep doing what we're doing.
Awesome. You guys, you heard it here first. And I am here with Jim because of the collaboration that Embarcadero and the Association of Software Professionals has in place to bring this to you. And the Association of Software Professionals is over 35 years old, and it's established. It's all about our professional development, how we are looking at our business, what we're doing to streamline our business, how all of the things that we might not really think about outside of the product actually matter and impact what we're doing. I mean, there are members of the ASP that are complete visionaries. They see different ways to use our technology, and they're pushing the boundaries and help moving technology forward. We also have members that just love technology and they believe in it and they see the power of what coding and putting together a bunch of features to solve a particular problem does to make an impact on the world, make somebody's life a little bit easier day to day, for example. And the cool thing about this is that Embarcadero is amazing for the technology side, the support, the development, learning how to code, working with each other at a technical level. And the Association of Software Professionals is about this building a business and growing together and continuing to develop the skills that we want to run a profitable business over time. And so that's a very cool way to start the conversation, and how Embarcadero and the ASP are coming together. We're really looking today at how do we think critically and make tough calls about our products. And what do I mean by tough calls? I mean, sometimes after we look at everything that we collect, do we really like what we see? And are we making decisions that maybe go against what our heartstrings or what we thought our vision was? And so it can be tough. And we also want to be establishing where there are gaps in what we say we do versus what we actually do, in what our customers think we do versus what they actually see our product doing. Perception is everything, and it's up to us to recognize those perceptions. And then also, just understanding what's going on within our business. How do the things that we're doing impact the end result, allow us to achieve our goals or not? And if we're doing that within our business, we also have these little radars out to have this feel of what's going on in our industry. And when we experience something different, or we see something happening, or we feel like something is happening, all of those things mean that maybe more research is possible and necessary. And I have to tell you, when we think about business evaluation, there's the whole business evaluation, and then there's the evaluation of monetization. And monetization can really be broken down into three distinct pieces. I call it a trio. There's the product side of things, what we have, what is the solution we're offering, what is the pain that we're fixing, and the licensing piece, how we're connecting with our customers. Is it easy for them to find us and actually give us their money and get our product? And the price, the agreement that we have out there of what people are willing to pay versus what our products are actually priced at, and how to go about choosing that price point. All of these things impact monetization. And even though all three impact monetization, what I'm going to focus on today with you is licensing. And the reason is because this is the concept of, what is this? I just got a little pop-up from WebEx, so hang tight with me for just a minute. Licensing is the point that is the most easily and readily available for us to look at. It's in the sense that we know people are going to pay us for what we have. Or how about this? We plan to. Maybe we don't have a product yet. Maybe we have an existing product. It's how that transaction happens. It's what we need to do to make that connection stronger through ease of finding out about it, ease of purchase, and ease of receipt. So getting it and being able to use it quickly. We have this shape of this box around licensing. So whether it's SaaS, whether it's subscription, whether it's download, or any one of the other monetization options, what we really need to think about is the shape. So we have this thing that we have chosen, and it has a shape. And we can change and influence that shape by knowing the capabilities of what we chose. Where are the boundaries? How are other people using this monetization option? And are we in line with that, or are we an outlier in some way? Also, how we're connecting to our customers. Are we in the right places and offering the right licensing model for what those people expect in the situation they're at? Because people want product at the time they want it and no other time. And so we have to be there and be ready and make it as easy as possible, because if we're not easy to buy from and get the product from, our competitors can easily swoop in and take a closer look at making that connection with the customer. Also, that means we have to know what our competitors are doing, don't we? We have to know that our competitors are using similar or different monetization options. And what does that actually mean in the grand scheme of things? Because ultimately, asking these questions comes down to one thing. It comes down to results. We want results. And it's why we do what we do. It's the what we do. It's the how we are doing it. And most importantly, it's a way to measure how well we are doing. And I'm the one to share this with you because of my background. I mean, I started out with RegNow. I was one of the original business owners of RegNow, acquired by Digital River, and I was in the software industry for a long time. When I left specifically the technology space, what ended up happening was everything that I was doing in technology, I continued to do for many industries. And it took me into a whole bunch of different realms, which every single one had its learning opportunities, and every single one had its benefits and wisdom that I gained from it. I had two companies that failed. I had a ton of ideas that never even got to a viable product. But with each one of those activities, I learned something, and I learned something, and I learned something more. And it's through those experiences from RegNow all the way now through my 10 years at Redirection that really give us an opportunity to learn from the methodology, the act to plan method that's built up of 4 frameworks. And it's all about business development. It's PLAN as an acronym, the power to learn, assess, and navigate a profitable business. And so when we're thinking about that, we've got to start with what we know, right? We've got to start with what we know, the channels that we listen and connect through. And what I mean by listen is how we passively collect data. We passively collect data from things like analytics or running Google Alerts or even just doing searches in social media platforms for specific concepts and ideas. We think about the revenue, and we know the revenue that each product brings us. We know if it sells more when we run a coupon, if it sells more at a certain time of year because of the need of some sort of cycle in the markets that you're serving, and we know where our distribution happens. We know if it's coming from our website. We know if it's coming from a partner or an affiliate or of some sort of, even maybe a strategic partner, if you will. All of these different channels. And these are the questions that we can think about and ask. I actually wrote these down because I was having a problem remembering them before. Do we like the channels that we're using, and are we responsive in them? And are people responsive to us in them? Who's responsible to collect these metrics and make sure we have these to look at? Because it's right here. It's right here right now. All we have to do is pull it out of our systems. And do we need all or any of this? Where do we need every distribution channel? Do we need more distribution channels? Do we need different listening posts? Do we need less listening posts? All of this is a skill called research. And we're pretty good at research. We're pretty good at knowing where to go to get the information because it is available to us. And it's one of the pieces that allows us to think critically about what we're going to do, about what we're going to evaluate. And all of that research sometimes leads to more research because we need to look at our product catalog. We need to understand the past performance at one point in time and go back even further to a second point in time and figure out what our trajectory is right now. And that's all it is. We're gathering data. Here's where we're going. We also can take a look at the sales and the discounts in the sense that if we are always running coupons or promotions or campaigns or new product releases and everybody's waiting for these product updates or product releases, we've trained our customers to wait for us to put our stuff on sale. And we might be okay with that, but we might not be okay with that. So being able to understand and look at the actual price we sell our product for versus the average sale price of that same product with all of the promotions and campaigns that we run throughout a year. We also can think about things like support. When we have people that want to buy from us, do they have trouble getting to a payment service? Do they have trouble getting through and giving us their money? Do they have a problem getting the product? And how much of these types of questions make up our overall customer service experience and workload that we're taking in? because we can go really deep with this. But do we need to? The thing is, maybe we don't need to. Maybe we can totally take a step back. We can say, I don't need all of the data that I'm aware of and looking at right now. Here are the data points that are the most important for me to evaluate the goals I have today and the goals I'm leading my company toward in 6 months, 1 year, and 2 years down the road. Because what we do today is going to affect the performance 1 year and 2 years down the line. So our intention matters. And are we laser focused in our goals? And when we're thinking about licensing, what do we want to see? Do we want to increase close ratios? Do we want to increase the average life of a customer? Do we want to increase the number of single transactions by a customer? Do we want to reduce support? Do we want to add another product? Do we want to offer the same product using a different licensing mechanism? All of these things matter to think about. And this comes into play because we can think about this in a vacuum, right? We're talking about licensing today in the productization trio. And we've got this comprehensive strategy, the strategy of all strategies. So products might have a strategy, licensing might have a strategy, pricing might have a strategy, marketing and sales and every other part of our business might have a strategy. But what is the strategy that connects them all together and keeps us on the path that we want to go down? And so what we did matters. What we're doing right now matters because it influences what we will be doing tomorrow. And that laser focus, taking this big strategy, here's where we're going, looking at licensing through that strategy. This is the space we're actually working. Here's what we've got to work with. And then putting all the data in, putting in all of the options that we have to choose a solution that is best for us right now. Because one of the things we also forget about is that and I think this is so common. In fact, I catch myself doing this when I'm doing my business reviews. I forget about that comprehensive strategy, and I get so laser focused on this one area of my business that I'm focusing on right now with those goals that it doesn't matter what any other part of the business is doing, or it doesn't matter how all of those pieces fit together. And what ends up happening is that I get off goal because my licensing strategy of my product, of my service, whatever I'm delivering, directly reflects how the communication in every other part of our business. And so with that interplay, with that intertwined information, it's really important to recognize that we've got to stay within this strategy of strategies and keep our options open and specific to what we're trying to achieve in the short term and in the medium term to continue, what do I want to say, refining our path as we go. So I'm thinking about this kind of stuff, and you know, longer term goals sometimes stay longer term goals and we never actually are taking actions to get there. And one of the reasons to look at licensing is because if we've got, I'm going to go back to the customer service example. If we've got, you know, let's say we get 100 customer service requests out of all of our customer service requests a week about people having a problem once they've gotten the product from us. They've paid successfully, and there's something that 100 people have a problem with every week. A really good team is empowered. They are given the authority and the ability to solve the problem. And so now they have a problem, and they're more efficient at answering those 100 requests and helping those people right away. So customers love it. They feel like the company's really responsive. They know the people genuinely care because the solution came from them, and you can feel that in the dialogue and the communication, the ownership of that. And then let's say your dream promotion happens. Somebody at your favorite magazine and your favorite forum that gets tons and tons of views and has tons of customers just by mentioning your product's name are going to flood your website and or the channel that you're using to promote that this person knows you through. And all of a sudden your 100 requests goes to 1,000 requests. there's only so fast. We can only copy paste so fast. That's what I'm trying to say. So now we have a scaling problem. We have a problem that we solved a solution that in the moment was a good solution. It made sense. And all of a sudden, that solution doesn't work anymore. And so we can't forget that as the world changes, that as we are ebbing and flowing through the life cycle of our clients and our customers and how the external world affects us, that something that was not a problem could become a problem, or a problem we thought we solved could become a problem in the future. We also, the same thing with our competitors. Technology changes so much. There's disruption happening everywhere. There is new innovation and new ways to look at things. People are taking something that looks like, a square, and they're turning it over, and we're realizing that it's actually a cube. And when that happens, the way we use technology as people, the way we interact with that technology changes. And we've got to keep up with that. So we need to know who our competitors are. And we've got to know how laser focused they are on the same things we are, just because it allows us to keep the pulse and know what's going on and how technology changes are affecting the way we are delivering our product to the world, the way our customers are going to want to use our product in 6 months and in a year. So we talked about this past performance, right? The 2 past performance dates that tell us where we're going. Differentiators. This is something that I find common in a lot of businesses. We're so different. We are revolutionary. We've got this new amazing way to do whatever we're doing. And if you and people are talking and it sounds great, they're getting this press, they're getting this dialogue, they've got this interest generated. All these people come to the website and it looks like every single one of their competitors' websites. The story is basically the same. There's really no way to tell how it's different until you dig around on the side, and what you find? You find a table of product 1, product 2, my product. And look, my product has the most check marks. I'm going to be honest with you. People don't care about check marks. They really don't. Now, they care that the product does what they needed to do and the way that they needed to do it. They don't care if you're better than any other product. So, the more that we can be different and the more that we can shine the light on us being different from our competitors is going to shape the story we tell, which strengthens the connection to people who are interested in our product and who we want to be aware of the product. So when they're ready to buy, our licensing model is easy to use, and they can go through that buying process and they can get the product and start using it and have a satisfied user experience. And we also have to think about actual versus intended use of our product, because we have these cool features that we might have that we expect it to work one way. We've got this one picture. But our customers have different brains. They have different experiences. And just like technology might be a square that we're looking at, that when you flip over is actually a cube, our customers are going to try doing that with our software too. What else? I really need this. I really need this product to do A, B, and C. And because it does X, Y, and Z, I might be able to make it work. I mean, we all do this, don't we? We have a product that works mostly, and we try that last little bit to make it work or stretch the way that it works. If we're watching and listening for how that's happening, we can create new markets. We can reach new people. We can have the opportunity to serve more people that actually need our product that we didn't even know might need our product. And how people want it and when they want it really matters. So all of these things we think about in our current plans, knowing that the actions we take today affect what we're doing tomorrow and the next day. And so being laser focused in that, especially when we're talking about licensing, how is the licensing and the issues that we're going to look at and what we're trying to find and just see what we have here, how does it impact and affect the rest of our business? It's interesting to think about. We don't have to be, and the most important thing is we don't have to be all things to all people. And some of us feel like that's a necessity. When we become all things to all people, it becomes downward price pressure, which means the more features that you have, I mean, well, think about it. We've watched it with all kinds of things. We've watched it with domain names. We've watched it with website hosting. We've watched it with online banking. The more features that people have, the more features people expect for the same amount of money, which means the way to get more customers is to reduce our costs. And that may not be the model we want to be in. That might not be the place we want. So if we start from how we deliver, the way we want to have money exchange hands, the relationship that we want before and after the purchase, directly correlates to our ability to be different and to set an expectation and to create this experience that customers like and benefit from and they find value in. And it's all about noticing, totally and completely noticing. When we put our feet, and I'm going to totally switch gears, and it's freezing cold here right now, so this is a funny analogy. I had to go put on a sweatshirt for this one because, and long underwear in addition to my jeans because my office is so cold right now, is being barefoot on a beach and putting your feet walking straight into a lake that's totally still and clear. When you're walking into the lake, what happens? The silt comes up. It gets all murky and muddy. And that's really everything we've been talking about now. Opening up the doors, dusting the top shelves, thinking about all the stuff that we know is around, but we don't really ever look at. We're collecting it, we're researching it, we're using it to figure out what might be going on. And now that we've stirred it all up, we can't see. Our feet are in there, and we can't see our little toes in the sand yet. But if we stand still and we wait, what happens? The water, the silt in the water settles, and we begin to see the lake floor again, right? The lake bed, where our toes are sunk into the sand, where the rocks are. Did anything move around? Did we miss a crab we might step on? We don't know. And it's about waiting and saying, okay, I've got all this information. Let's hang tight. Let's just hang tight a minute and notice. Notice what we've got. Notice what people are saying in our teams. Notice what people are saying in our communities. Notice what our customers are saying. Notice what the people who we want to be our customers, what are they saying? And now we are ready to take action, because the whole point of doing all of this is to solve problems. It's to decide what to do next. It's to make changes in the results that we're getting. And there are 4 steps to problem solving in business that will get you results. The first step, recognize there's a problem. Okay, so we have this trajectory, we have all this information, we're going this direction, but we really want to be going, we need to be going in a different direction. We're close, but we're off. So we now have something to define. We have something to define in our licensing that is going to get us more on track for where we want to go. The second thing is, we've got all this data, and we've looked at all this data, and some of it's going to be relevant, but some of it's not. And as we look at it, we might go, oh, to go from where we are to where we want to be, we actually need a different data set. We wouldn't know that if we hadn't noticed it before, taken the time to stop and look. And so we can go collect any other data that we might need. The third step is then, through the big strategy of the whole company and the licensing strategy that we are working with right now, putting in all that information, and anything that falls through, we don't need. So we now have this body of data, we have this body of options, we have this body of ideas that fit the strategy within our licensing model in the shape and the context that we want. So now we can decide, okay, here's what we want to change. We need to change, we need to reduce the amount of customer service around this particular issue. What does that mean? We want to increase our close ratio at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What does that mean? What does that look like? And then we can start thinking about what that looks like and where the resources are that are available to us and the time that is necessary to do that. And we can prioritize the order that we tackle these problems for change. We choose a solution and we go. That's the 4th step. And when we choose a solution and we go all the way through and we get some results, and then we evaluate the results. Where we were, where did we what happened, and are we more where we want to go, or are we farther away? And based off of that result, we can decide, cool, we're done with that one. We feel like that one's resolved for now. We're ready to move to the next one. Or we are at this place, we saw the movement somewhat, but we didn't get all the way to where we wanted to go. We must be on the right track. So let's repeat those steps and see what else we can do to get to where we want to go. It's all about fixing problems, and it's all about finding problems. And I was thinking about it, and nobody really likes to say that their product has problems. And nobody likes to say that the way that they do licensing has problems. But when we're really critical and we set our ego aside and we go, we did the best with what we had at that time. Now we've got to look at this with fresh eyes. What could we do different now? How do we iterate this forward? How do we take that step to continue to be relevant and useful? And it's in that curiosity, how do we continue to do what we do? How do we make it better? That we can make that difference, that we can go through the problem-solving process, looking at our licensing in line with our overall strategy that we're working with, and better understand the decisions that are made by our owners or our board, by our bosses, and if we're the ones making those decisions, how we might better communicate those to our teams so we're all on the same page and we all understand where we're going and why things are prioritized the way they are. It's a concept where the more we understand and the more we're able to be on board with it, the more we can focus the energy of all of our team members, and that might, if it's just us, to an entire team, to an entire company, to get us where we want to go. So when we find the problems, we go through the 4 steps, we see change, we repeat, or we tackle the next one and follow the 4 steps for the next one, we get to see change. And we're thinking about licensing. And so we might find some of our licensing models don't work. We might find some of our licensing models are way more profitable than we ever realized. And so we now know how to allocate resources from evaluating our monetization, specifically around licensing, to create impact and more profitability for our business. And it's about action. We have to choose. Choice is an action. We have to take the first step and collect the data. That is an action. I keep saying have to. I'm going to take that back. We don't have to do anything. But when we want to be more profitable, there are things to do to make that change. And when we've got all this stuff going on, we can actually keep track of what our competition is doing and what the minimum requirements are for somebody to come in and start monetizing a product similar to ours. That you know what it took for you to start. You know what, and technology is always making it easier in some ways. So as the barrier to entry decreases, where are the barrier creators? Where are those places to create differentiation and stay relevant without being obsolete? Because if we don't do this, if we don't look at our licensing models, we could be like the shareware authors of the 80s. We could still be waiting for the next catalog to be printed and mailed and hope that somebody sends us a check for a disc. We don't want that. And I know some of you guys won't even know what I'm talking about, but as licensing changes, so do we. And as we understand what our competitors are starting to do, we can use that as a guide. We can also see, what are the major tech companies doing? Where are the innovations taking place? And understand how licensing fits into our world, into delivering our product and solving people's problems. So keep problem solving. Keep problem solving. And the Association of Software Professionals is an organization that helps with and brings people together that want to continue their professional development, their business skills, their ability to connect with each other. And so the board of the Association of Software Professionals put together a discount code for people who are watching this webinar to save 15% on your first year of membership. So a $100 membership becomes $85 using this coupon. Excuse me. if you follow the link at the bottom of this slide, all the information for joining will be on that page, as well as this code. So you can write it down now, or you can just get the link and go, and you will be set to go. In addition, the Embarcadero team has some current offers, and I'd love for Jen to tell you about those.
Absolutely. So December tends to be the time of year that we have the best offers for upgrading. The first one is the upgrade from any previous version. So if you've been, actually, we had a webinar yesterday on modernization, and I had a few people ask if that means you can upgrade from Delphi 2 right now all the way to Berlin. Yes, yes, you can. You can get upgrade pricing
Cool.
from Delphi 2 all the way to Berlin. Now is the time to do it. Not only can you get upgrade pricing from any previous version, but you can get any of those discounts as well you see on the screen and the free bonus pack. So right now is the best time of year to upgrade. Don't wait for Santa Claus. Give yourself a present now and enjoy the season.
I love it. And along with that, enjoy the season even more. And now you have a free gift for yourself, or a free gift to give to somebody else who might be interested in starting to program. $217 value. These starter editions right here, right now for you. That's pretty cool. And by the way, if this isn't value, what is? So you might want to just rewatch this part of the webinar so you get what we're talking about with licensing and how this bundling might work, and just think through that and how that might apply to your business.
Yep, absolutely. And it's great. These are a great value. It's one of those things that's weird to say they're a $217 value because I think they could be a lot more than $217 value, but that's what we would normally would sell these for, or we had sold these for. So value is one of
Oh,
those
that's good to know.
interesting words to think about, right?
It's all in our perception.
It
It comes
is.
down to what is our model and how do we communicate that. And that's why we have to we're going to go back to what we were covering today. How do we look critically and really look and find out if there are tough calls to make about our catalog, what our services, our products that we're offering that we're monetizing. And how do we decide, are we on track with our products, and what do we want to do to change to improve performance and connect more with our customers? And how do we know what's going on with our business? It's by watching and learning from others. It's by looking at the information that we can get within our business and just being curious and open to it. So I have to tell you, we've got a lot of stuff that we've covered today, and there are some great tools that are here for you to continue doing what you do and what you love. And I want to say thank you very much for having me. Thank you for letting me share some time with you. And Jim, it's been a pleasure working with you as well.
Oh, likewise, it's great. As I was commenting to you this morning, it's almost like you're speaking a different language than I'm used to being involved in because I'm very much technical. Hey, what's this API? How's this component work? Where's the source code? What's the syntax? Where, but then after I started listening to you more, I realized that really what you're talking about is just this idea of focusing and concentrating on the one thing at a time, what's most important, and then getting that done. And I think that can be applied everywhere. If there are any
Hmm.
questions anybody has for Jessica, go ahead and put them in the question panel and go to webinar software, and she can get them answered for you. Or for questions for me as well, I guess, and we'll take a
Hmm.
look at them. There's a question here from Jeff. He said a lot of customers tend to think of SaaS, SaaS, software as a
Hmm.
service, as web-based. Is it safe to say that there are also companies that sell desktop or rich client applications but sell them using a SaaS-based model, so non-web-based software?
That's going to be a you question, Jim.
Yeah, I would say that there are a lot of. Actually, I talk to a lot of our customers that are building mobile apps or desktop apps that they sell as software as a service. That's actually I'd say probably a more common model anymore
Hmm.
than the. That's probably the predominant model now. And if you look at, and I'm taking off my Embarcadero employee hat right now, and just talking as a person. But if you look at the way Embarcadero has moved to the you're buying software with update subscription, and so
Hmm.
instead of buying a one-time license where you just bought the software and you use it for a while. Instead, you're buying a relationship, and that is software as a service. You are buying software, you're buying the updates to the software, you're buying support with that software, you're buying access to special trainings and stuff like that. And so that's software as a service, and that is a desktop client. That is a application for building applications. So that's as a opposite of a typical web service as you can get.
Okay, interesting, because everything that you just described, like for me, I don't sell digital product in like software products or applications. I sell services and I sell packages, and I do the same thing, and I call it a subscription. There is a subscription or a number of payments that you will pay for this. And so I'm wondering if we're actually experiencing the merging of SaaS and subscription into something that's going to be new.
I think so. I really think it is. If you look at like Adobe Photoshop, right? So their creative suite you
Yep.
used to be something you bought Creative Suite, and then it was, oh, you can buy Creative Suite with support, and they said, oh, you can
Yep.
buy Creative Suite or you can buy our subscription service. And now that's the
Yep.
only thing they do. It's only subscription service from Adobe. You cannot buy, well, maybe you can, but I think they predominantly want you
I
to
think
buy.
it's harder.
Yeah, it's really hard. They
Yeah.
really want you just to buy
They
the
really want you to do
subscription,
that.
the software as a service.
Exactly. And they're adding value to that, right? They gave most recently, in my version at least, and I'm using their subscription service, they said, hey, come look at our stock photos. They have never had that before. Hey, come look at this part of our community. They had never had that before. So they're building in value into that concept too, which I like. They're able to keep that model and build on it to make that relationship fresh and new and still relevant in people's minds.
Now, somebody else may disagree with me and argue that that's not software as a service, but that in my mind, at least my understanding, I would call that software as a service.
Well, I would too. I mean, and that's actually almost a hybrid because even though it's software as a service where that's where my license is held and that's where my license is checked, I do have to download and install stuff. So that might actually be the model to answer this question of Jeff's.
Yes. Yep. So this is actually a really good question here. Do you find that licensing products a certain way can hamper sales? For instance, say you have to lock the license of a product to a CPU, or there has to be a connection to the internet, or some other hoops that your customers have to jump through. Can those sort of things hinder sales? And do you find there are some mechanisms that are better than others?
I cannot speak to the exact mechanisms. What to look for, though, would be, are you using the process to qualify clients? Something to consider is the more hoops somebody has to jump through, the more they're self-qualifying that they want to be your customer, and they really, really want to be your customer. And so is that the relationship that you want? And I would say that is something to consider and comes more into account the more expensive a piece of software is. If they're willing to do this and this and then this. Now I can tell you in a lot of different models, having what's called a micro payment product to get somebody to spend a little bit of money with you. And once they've spent a little bit of money with you, they are more likely to spend more money with you on bigger ticket items. So I know that there are people who sell content or access to content behind a paywall. And in some of those models, what I've seen is they start out with like a $7 product. And in this $7 product, they may stick you on an email list, which gives you a different kind of communication with them. But they may also give you access to this whole library, and they may show you the whole library, but you can only click on the $7 thing that you bought. So now you can see all of these other things that are available for sale all the time, every time you go in to see this one piece of content. And so what is it doing? It's creating this situation that is creating a hoop, if you will, a next step. Or maybe it's like the yellow brick road. It's unveiling the next step at the exact right time to keep people moving forward.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting when it's kind of like you're talking about how when you put your feet in the water and all the silt comes up and it gets cloudy. But then when you stop and take a second back and look at these stuff and ask these questions like we're having this conversation now, it's interesting how it's like, oh, that makes sense. I understand that now. And a lot more tends to clarify. And I guess that's really what the purpose of the ASP is, right, is to give you that a community where you have these kind of conversations about
Right.
the business of selling software.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So yeah, there was a few people this morning that commented how much they appreciated their membership in the ASP and that they found it was a great way to help grow their business. So definitely, if you're on this call, you've probably, I would say, spent $100 worth of your time just to be here, and so clearly this is worth your attention to go out and join ASP to get more of this sort of education because clearly this is important to you. And so,
Mm-hmm.
thank you very
Yep,
much,
it is.
Jessica.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad that the ASP board approached me to come and participate because this is quite fun and I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy looking at the options and seeing the shape that people have created, right? What is that shape that you have? And what does it mean to you? And then okay, now how do we go find? How do we go find what you want to improve? How do
Yeah,
we know what to improve? All good things. Well, thank you very much, Jim, for having me and partnering with the ASP. This has been great fun. Great fun.
absolutely. Thank you. All right, thank you so much, everybody, and we will talk to you later. See you around.